being as how it's Friday, you might expect this to be a little bit shorter, and it is indeed. The First Amendment guaranteed many important rights to citizens in the United States. The Bill of Rights to the United States Constitution lists them out so that the federal government can't take them away. Today, we are going to look at the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment has to do with these words that are in the Constitution. The Bill of Rights, Amendment 2, says, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." So infringed, if you infringe on someone else's rights, it's like you try to sneak in and grab a few. So what does this mean in regular words? According to the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution, people have the right to keep weapons and to be part of what they called the state militia. And as history has gone past, the state militia has sort of changed and grown into becoming the National Guard. That's the best parallel we have nowadays to what was the state militia back then. Okay? And actually, you know what? We have enough of time. We are also going to go ahead and talk about the Third Amendment. This one, well, both of these have deep, deep roots in the Revolutionary War. Think of the beginnings of the American Revolution, the battles of Lexington and Concord, the fact that the British soldiers marched out of Lexington because they wanted to get the ammunition, the weapons that had been gathered together at Concord. And when those soldiers were sent to Boston after the Boston Tea Party, they were forced upon people in Boston who had enough room in their homes. They had to keep soldiers in their homes. There's a little detail of history that I didn't have time to mention to you when we were talking about Paul Revere riding out of Boston to warn the folks at Lexington and Concord. The man who put the lanterns up in North Church so that the signal would get through to Lexington and Concord, even if Paul Revere didn't make it. The signal telling Lexington and Concord the route that the British soldiers were taking. That man had to sneak out of his own house, climb out of his bedroom window, and jump off the roof in order to put the lanterns up in North Church, because there were British soldiers downstairs playing cards in his front room. There were British soldiers that had been quartered in Mr. Newman's home, and he had to sneak out to put up the lanterns. So you can absolutely see facts of the Revolutionary War in these amendments that the people who wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, they wanted to make sure that their posterity, you and I, would not have these rights taken away from them by the federal government. So the Third Amendment says, "No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house." So it'll tell you in a minute what that means. "Without the consent of the owner." What does that mean? During peacetime, when there's no war, people can not, and yep, I want you to write the not again, be forced. That's the idea of without consent. People can volunteer to house and feed soldiers in their home, but people cannot be forced to house and feed soldiers in their home. Nor in time of war, but in a manner prescribed by law. In other words, during war, if the United States is invaded and our army is fighting to keep our freedoms, Congress might set up other rules. having gone over them, where is Dictator trying to take these rights away from you? We've already done this one where he was trying to abridge the freedom of press. Is he taking away your right to, this is called the right to bear arms. No, that doesn't mean the right to wear short sleeves. That means the right to have weapons. When he says everybody has to invite 5 soldiers in their homes, does that take away the right to have weapons? Or does that take away your right not to be forced to house and feed soldiers? Does that force you to quarter a soldier? And your right not to have those things done to you, that is guaranteed in the U.S. something. In the something section of it, there's a number that goes with it, and it's a part with a specific name. And then tell why it's important to you not to have this happen, not to have your right to avoid that taken away from you. We already did this one. What about number 4 then? Since you'll have soldiers living with you, you won't need to have any guns. All guns will be turned over to the army. Is he taking away your right to keep and bear arms? Or is his focus putting the soldiers in your house? The part that we have circled should help you identify that, and then tell him which right he's taking away, where it's guaranteed, which part of that document, the number, and what we call that part. So you must do number 4 today. You must do section number 2. Friends going into your house and arresting you for no reason? Nope, that wasn't having anything to do with bearing arms or not quartering soldiers. Hung, drawn, and quartered, that means in this case, in this context, cut into 4 pieces. Or injected with smallpox? Nope, that has nothing to do with your right to keep and bear arms or your right to not have soldiers quartered with you. So, you are doing the 2nd and 4th items addressing Dictator's lack of understanding of the Constitution. You also need to draw a picture for the 2nd and 3rd Amendment now. You only need to draw one picture and show that you understand what they mean. Again, 3 things to send me. Just one photograph should be fine for these. You also need to send me a photograph of your answer for this and your answer for this one. Thank you for showing me that you understand the 2nd and 3rd Amendments of the Bill of Rights to the United States Constitution.